For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in on your favorite podcast app. 30 minutes of time-wasting fun. That is our guarantee. If we don't waste your time, you get your money back on this free podcast. How's it going today? Have you recovered from the Facebook outage, everybody? I need to know. Is there panic? Is everybody okay? Take a deep breath. Check your blood pressure, everybody. You know what I'm talking about, right? Earlier in the week, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp all going down, and I gotta tell you, I don't remember what day of the week it was. Was it Monday? Whatever day it was. I had no idea this was all taking place. I had no idea the world was in chaos. And here's the thing. Here's the deal. I made a joke on the radio earlier in the week, and I said, see, the thing is that I have a life, so I'm not glued to my social media. I'm not paying attention. So I was completely. I was shopping. I went to the park with my dogs. And I went to my parents' house. We were in the backyard with took the dogs to my parents' house, and we were all in the backyard for the afternoon. I had no idea. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Now, I haven't used WhatsApp in, I don't even know, months. Because it's actually on, I have 3 phones. It's on one phone that I haven't used in a while. So that's my excuse for not even knowing about that one. But yeah, I couldn't give 2 shits about Facebook and Instagram. And I've said this before, right? I mean, I wrote a book called Put Down Your Damn Phone already, which is a commentary on people's addictions to social media and their phone. And now I understand this. I kind of got some flack. By the way, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank is coming up. I was supposed to do that right off the top. I'm not even doing this right. We were supposed to take a break before I went into this rant, but I'm going to keep going because I own this company. So I took some flack earlier in the week because I had commented. I said, well, I have a life. I'm not addicted to social media. I'm not on there 24/7. And people were saying, well, what about the businesses that, there's businesses that were crippled and there was governments that were crippled. Here's my thing. And I'm not just saying this because all of a sudden now Facebook went down. And I have said from the very beginning, don't ever rely on one outlet for your business. And what I mean by that is, when we were doing travel shows for our syndicated radio show, or when we had pictures of my dog that we were, doing photo shoots and things like that, everybody would say about, oh, a Facebook gallery. Oh, did you post them on Facebook? Oh, did you? And I always said, that content is housed on our website. For this exact reason. Because if Facebook suddenly shuts you down, or Facebook itself shuts down, or if just something happens, you've now lost your content. It is gone. And so I said that from like more than 10 years ago. Anytime we have travel programming, celebrity interviews, whatever, it's not strictly going on a social media page because that's not ours. That can be taken away from us at any time. And so this is a prime example of why you don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say, as my mom would have said back in the day. Because all of a sudden, Facebook goes down, and now your business is crippled. That is not a smart idea. Now, we saw a lot of people having to flock to social media when the pandemic shut down in-person shopping or what have you. And yes, people utilized social media, and I think now have just relied on that. Because, I don't know, to me, I just feel that's a very, very stupid business model. If your only channel, your only platform is Instagram. Because, we've got our sister company, Happy Bulge Swim Company. That Facebook page got shut down a few weeks ago. I don't know that I talked about it here on the show. But we then ended up fighting Facebook and said, look, you're accusing this swimwear company of posting nudity and sexual activity and, get this, even accused one of the ads of exploiting COVID. That's right, COVID exploiting swimwear. I'm not shitting you, everybody. I'm not shitting you. And so Happy Bulge fought Facebook and said, look at this, you're accusing us of da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, there's still a platform. There's still an email subscriber list. There's still, the website. There's still everything. So just because your Facebook... Now, the Facebook page was reinstated. I should point that out after the fight with Facebook. Nevertheless, but, is that going to cripple a business? It should not. You should always have at least one more method of communication for your customers and traffic and things like that. So I think that when I said, people get a life and whatever, absolutely the individual user who was refreshing their phone. I mean, I saw the comments after because we were reporting on it the next day on Entertainment Wrap-Up because celebrities were, laughing about it. But you have these people who were tweeting it, the hashtag was trending, obviously, and these people are like, oh, I kept refreshing, oh, I kept changing my Wi-Fi, oh, I kept going to whatever because I thought that I was blocked, or I thought... People were basically having a conniption. I mean, people were in a panic, and I just thought, wow. And I think it really did give some pause to people. Maybe not the millennials or the younger crowd, but it certainly gave people an eye-opening experience to go and say, yeah, no, it was actually kind of nice not to have Facebook. Now, on the on the flip side of that, you have these people who were also, once it was back up and running, continuing on with their addiction and using the platform, right? So it's sort of funny where you can go and say, oh, thank God Facebook was down. Hey, wasn't that nice? But yet you're still on there, every day anyway. So what is, are you a hypocrite then at that point? Like what is, so anyway. But no, I was unscathed by it. I couldn't give two shits that Facebook and Instagram was down. It even says it on my Instagram bio, something to the effect of, I'm probably the only person in broadcasting who has no interest in social media. I'm on there because it's my job, because it's expected of me. That's the only reason I have these pages. Even then, Instagram, I think I only got it like 3 or 4 years ago, because people would say to me like, oh, what's your Insta? What's your IG? I'm like, what's my IG? I don't know what that is. I don't. And then people ask like for my TikTok and my Snapchat. Hand in the air right now, I swear. I have never been on those two apps, and I don't even fully know what Snapchat or TikTok is. I swear. I'm totally serious. Again, like I said, Monday, we don't work on Monday. I'm supposed to work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I wasn't working on Monday. This week has sort of shifted a little bit. And if I don't need to be on my phone or near a computer, I'm not. We've had beautiful weather this week. Wednesday, my day off on Wednesday, I took the dogs to the park. And we laid out in the sun. I had a towel that they had some toys playing with. I had music. I had bottles of water. Actually, I had a bottle of wine. But that was the afternoon. I mean, yes, I had technology because I was listening to music. But I'm saying I wasn't connected to the internet. It wasn't on social media. It was just a good day. It was just good to be out in nature and just enjoying the moment. And I came home, I had a nap on the couch, and I carried on about my evening. I mean, that's to me a nice day. I don't get the hand cramps because I'm clutching my phone all day. It doesn't happen to me. I have no interest. So again, let me just reiterate. I can understand and sympathize with the companies that did take a hit because their social media pages were down earlier in the week with the Facebook and Instagram outage. But I hope this gives you some food for thought that you don't simply rely on that for this exact reason. And that'll be the day that I would then go and say, oh, well, my business went under because of Facebook. No, that's not an entrepreneurial mentality at all. That is not. A real good entrepreneur, now I'm not saying that I'm the best and I've made millions of dollars. I at least do pull in 6 figures a year myself. But, a good entrepreneur is going to go and say, no, I'm not going to, just because, Facebook is down or if something crashes, whatever. Same thing when I was hosting our radio shows. I can't just go and rely on my one internet connection in a studio or my internet connection in my home studio or my whatever. We had backup plans so that we never missed uploading a show. And even when we were traveling, we always made sure that we had a backup plan that if I had to upload content on a Sunday night and we had to beam it down to stations, we had a way of doing it. We just, you always have those contingency plans in place. So I hope any of the entrepreneurs that were hurt earlier in the week because of the Facebook outage, you learned your lesson if that was the only, if that was your only platform or channel that you had. So sympathize to a point, but nah. We're going to talk business with Kevin O'Leary. Shark Tank returns to ABC tonight, and Mr. Wonderful is coming up next.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Shark Tank is back on ABC for another season, and Mr. Wonderful himself is joining us on the line to talk about it. Kevin O'Leary, my fellow Canadian, how are you?
Great to be here, thank you.
Well, you know, the show seems to be getting stronger every season, and I can't tell if it's the concept, if it's the people, I mean, the quality of businesses are getting better, or if it's the talent, the sharks. I mean, what's the secret to this show?
What's driving it, after all, the real stars of Shark Tank are the entrepreneurs who come on the show with these incredibly innovative, solutions, products, services, and over the years that changes. And we've gotten to the point now where two facts are true. Shark Tank can launch companies and make millionaires. That's a proven fact. We've done it over and over again, and we've sold billions of dollars of products and services over the last 13 years. Venture capitalists know that, entrepreneurs know that, investors know that. Everybody wants to get on Shark Tank, and that's, why it's probably a very sustainable format for a very long time. But there's something else, and I noticed it this year, which is really remarkable. The deals we see on Shark Tank, and you're going to see tonight's premiere at the beginning of this new season 13, are 2 years ahead of the market. We are 2 years ahead of where consumers are going. It's where the puck is going to be. And I'll tell you two themes that you're going to see that are very, very, very prominent this year. Number one, the companies that are getting funded in very large amounts of money. It's not uncommon to see a $2 million deal now on Shark Tank, as you're going to see in this season, because they're really interesting companies, and in many cases have sales. So they're coming on the Shark Tank to do the thing that we do so well. We reduce their customer acquisition costs. And so in America, the number one reason companies go out of business is they basically can never acquire customers economically. But Shark Tank, we get 100 million eyeballs, so they get all those free eyeballs and new customers. But also what's remarkable is the companies that are getting funding have two things: sustainability mandates and missions. So it's not just a marketing scam. People don't want to dump plastic in the ocean. People don't want to eat crappy food anymore. People want things that matter to them socially, and you're seeing it reflected in the companies that get financed and are successful.
Would you credit the show with shaping the success of entrepreneurs throughout the country? Like, when we see people come on this show, a lot of times they're saying, I've watched it for years, and they've almost sort of figured out how to run a business because of this show.
Well, we get a lot of entrepreneurs that actually grew up watching Shark Tank pitching us their deals, and they'll often say, well, Mr. Wonderful, you and your royalty deals, well, I'm willing to do a royalty deal. All these things, they've got to know us personally, and they know the kind of investments we make and the structures we make, and I think that really endears viewers to the show, and it makes it more interesting when you start at a level where you have a deep understanding of financing. That we've taught America venture capital. I mean, in the beginning, the deals were really simple. They were straight equity. Now we've got all kinds of preference shares, convertible debentures, venture debt, in addition to royalty deals. All kinds of things have emerged in terms of structuring these deals to the advantage of the investor and, of course, the companies. And so I think it's a great thing. I know with certainty that, I make a lot of money investing on Shark Tank because of the power of what it can do to businesses. And it's very, very often, and this happens quite often, we get all our money back the night it airs. We sell so much product. It explodes, millions of dollars of product. So people are watching Shark Tank, they see something they like, boom, they go online, they buy it.
Tell me what happens when you're watching Shark Tank. Obviously, you know what's happening on the episodes. So when it's airing tonight on ABC, are you sitting there with a calculator? Are you watching some websites to see sales? What are you doing when the show is on?
Well, I have a whole team of people that work on the Shark Tank deals, and they do that. We monitor by the minute what's going on and make sure the websites are staying up, and we're monitoring the traffic and the comments. We've gotten very sophisticated in terms of understanding the power of what Shark Tank can do, and we have all the tools, cloud-based products that allow us to monitor it. But what I'm always watching, and I'm Shark Tank's biggest fan, I'm always amazed on how the editors can take an hour-and-a-half pitch. It's not uncommon to have a complicated deal that we're seeing that entrepreneur on the set for an hour and a half, negotiating, investing, fighting, whatever we're doing, cut it down to 7 minutes. I mean, because I remember every single product. I remember every single product for the last 13 years. But I remember the pitches too. And so when I'm watching the masterful job they do in taking an hour and a half long story and compressing it into 7 or 8 minutes, I mean, that's the art of making television right there.
Let's talk about the people. When the people come on the show, how quickly, in your mind at least, maybe not verbally, how quickly do you make a decision or judgment? Is it in that typical, we hear the 30-second or 60-second elevator pitch? No matter what happens with the rest of this, no matter what their numbers, I'm out. Do you ever do that? Or after all this time, do you give people a chance now?
Well, I'm going to answer this in a way that you may think is very, very different.
Okay.
I've been sitting there in that center seat for 13 years. And when they come out onto the carpet, most viewers don't know this, but there's 2 cameras. One is on a jib that's flying around in the air, and the other is on the back of a Steadicam operator, so he's totally mobile. And so to get the establishing shot that you always see on Shark Tank, it may be only 15 seconds. We spend about 2.5, 3 minutes using those cameras to get all the footage the producers and editors need. And so the floor director will say to that entrepreneur, don't say anything, don't move, just stand there. And so they're shooting them in the context of the set and their product beside them. Now, they're 15 feet away from me, and I just look them right in the eyes. I don't blink, I don't smile, I don't change my face or emotions, in terms of, I just look at them. And I want to see how long they can handle that. How long can they be stared down for? Do they fidget, look away, laugh uncomfortably? It's amazing.
Wow.
Ones that get deals are the ones that are able to stare back and elude confidence. And I'm telling you, and I've learned this, it's like an aura, I know the winners and losers before they say a single word.
Well, do you have a preference of the type of person that you work with? And I don't mean, I'm not saying like gender, age, anything like that. I'm talking about the personality, because sometimes the pitchers, they come up against you, right? They don't back down. Do you like that? Do you like that bit of an edge in an entrepreneur and a potential business partner?
Yes, I don't have to like them personally. I don't have to like their style of presenting. None of that matters. What matters is executional skills.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we see great ideas on Shark Tank, but great ideas without executional skills are worthless. And so what I need to see, whether they're combative or not, is the ability to execute on the plan, on the idea. What skill set do they have? That you listen to what questions I'm asking. I want to know what they've done before and what they failed at and what they've been successful at, because that really what determines whether I'm going to invest. I don't invest on personality. It doesn't matter. I invest on executional skills. And I will say something else. Over the years, the majority of the money I've made over Shark Tank over the last 13 years, it's more than a decade, have been at the hands of companies run by women. And so I'm very biased now. I invest in women. They do a fantastic job of mitigating risk. They have amazing executional skills. That old adage, if you want something done, give it to a busy mother, is true in business. And so, generally speaking, it's been a remarkable, decade plus of very, very successful deals led by women.
Let me take the question one step further then. Have you ever invested just because of the person and absolutely had no interest or no care for the business at all?
Yes, I have, because my feeling is I'll invest in the person. If it doesn't work out on this particular product, I'll put them somewhere else in my portfolio. Great executional skills are priceless. They really are. They really are, because most of the time when companies fail because it's not the market. It's not because they weren't able to figure out how to acquire customers. They just don't have the executional skills to pivot. During this pandemic, if you weren't able to go online and use social media to communicate with your customer base and get new ones, you were finished. And it was the ones that really were able to chuck and jive and pivot that survived in my portfolio. And guess what? The majority of them were women.
Okay, with the pandemic going on, like you said, almost every business had to adapt in some way. We've seen the updates on Shark Tank, of course. Let me ask you then about yourself. I mean, did you learn anything about yourself as a business person or as a boss, as an investor during the pandemic?
I did. I had to make a lot of changes in the way I do business. Obviously, I couldn't travel as much. I had to become very, very proficient in technology and made big investments in my offices around upgrading our ability to communicate together. I had to deal with personnel in a big way. In our own operating company, we had a huge debate about vaccines, for example, and we came up with a solution. We said if you're willing to get vaccinated, you could come into the office anytime you wanted, but if you don't want to get vaccinated, you're not fired. You're just never coming to the office, and you're going to work remotely in perpetuity. Because I didn't want to lose talented people that refused to get vaccinated for their own personal reasons, but I also wanted to make sure that I kept my employees safe. And we discussed this collectively and came up with that solution, and it seems to be working quite well. And, in our portfolio companies, we have over 10,000 people, including the supply chains that, help them in logistics. And we've really seen remarkable changes in how people work, where they work, how they work, the things we do now in terms of retail versus online. So much rapid change in such a short period of time. But you really see it manifested in this season on Shark Tank when you hear the stories of how many of these products and services were developed in the basements while people were locked down during COVID, and solutions to COVID-related problems. It's really, really interesting. This is going to be an incredible season for a bunch of reasons. And I just finished it a few days ago, in terms of watching some of the work they've done on the editing and doing some of the updates. And tonight you're going to see a brand new Shark Tank.
Well, we're going to be watching. One final thing before we go. Finish this sentence for me. I would die a happy man if I never heard another pitch about...
hot sauce. I can't take any more pitches on hot sauce.
Okay, give me a quick spoiler. Are we going to see...
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Yes, there are. Even the hot sauce category is requiring the demand in the hot sauce area. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but people want less sodium and they want less sugar. I mean, this is a huge movement with Gen Zers and baby boomers and millennials. This thing about the content of what you're eating, the calories you're eating, the sodium, the cane sugar. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, and some of these foods, gluten-free bread, for example, which I always thought tasted like absolute crap. We saw versions of that this year on Shark Tank that actually tasted good. $12 a loaf, and guess who's buying them? Me. So, I mean, it's really amazing of all these innovations around food, and you're going to see tons of it in this season starting tonight.
We're going to be watching the new season of Shark Tank premieres, and it's Fridays on ABC. Check your local listings. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, thanks so much for joining us today.
Take care. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Just talking about Shark Tank has made me think, it's made me think about like business and money and all those things. And I was talking with a friend the other day, a colleague. He fancies himself an entrepreneur, but no, just no. I mean, I'll give him credit. He's got lots of ideas, lots of big ideas. And like most entrepreneurs, when they're first starting out, he expects the money's going to be coming, it's going to be rolling in like right now, like in the first 5 minutes of launching your business, the money is just, and I'll admit that he's got some good ideas from time to time, but it doesn't have that business sense. Just doesn't have that that way with following through. And here, I'm not saying that I'm the most successful entrepreneur, but again, I started my media company about 15 years ago. Well, yeah, about 15 years ago, and it makes six figures, and I'm good with that. And I employ 7 people, so it's good enough for me. And if I retire when I'm 40, which is next year, as my original plan was, then there we go, right? But I like what I do, so I don't see myself retiring anytime soon. Anyway, this segment isn't about me, it's about him. And so he called me the other day, and he had a couple different ideas, and sometimes they're really good ideas. And let me be honest with you, I've actually thought about taking some of them. Just because I know he's not going to implement them, he's not going to follow through. Why let a good idea go to waste, right? I mean, you can capitalize on that. So he called me while he was out running some errands, and then he's like, oh, hold on a second. And I heard him buying a lottery ticket, and I was kind of like, okay, remember, I'm a cheapskate. I wrote a book about saving money and being thrifty, so for me, I'm not buying lottery tickets every week. I just, whatever. And so I would call him a lottery snob, is I guess where I'm going with this, because it was a big jackpot, 50 million or something. And so I said, I don't really follow that. I see the commercials or the ads or whatever, but it's like, it's 10 million. And he's a lottery snob, so that if the jackpot is, I'm going to use the word only, if the jackpot is only $2 million or $5 million, $7 or $10 million, he sort of, turns his nose up. And I kind of sit there and I wonder, though, like, so how much does it have to go to before you buy a ticket? Because $1 million for somebody is a decent chunk of change, right? This is a guy he's older, no kids, nothing like that. Like, actually, he's in his 60s, I guess, now at this point. And I kind of sit there going, so you'll only buy it if it's like 20 million or more, or 50 million or more. That's your limit. That's the minimum that it's got to be. And I kind of thought that was funny. I thought if you're buying a lottery ticket, you're buying a lottery ticket. Now, I understand when it spikes, especially in the United States, when it spikes to like 300 million and there's this big rush of people getting tickets, sure, you buy into something like that. But I guess what's funny to me is, like, you turn your nose up at the possibility of winning $10 million. Like, that's not good enough for you. And I just, that's sort of funny to me. I don't know. Is that just a gambling mentality? Is that am I making my point? I hope I'm sort of, it's kind of like, if you're going to buy the ticket, even if the prize is $1 million, $2 million, like, what's your minimum? Okay, so if I'm only going to win $50, I'm not going to buy a ticket. Okay, sure, I understand that. But I mean, if it's upwards of like $1 million, that's nothing to sneeze at, right? But anyway, tell me your thoughts. If you buy lottery tickets, does the jackpot have to be a certain amount before you go and get a ticket? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble in our final remaining moments. Kim Kardashian is set to host SNL this weekend, and you might recall a couple weeks ago, Deborah Messing, who dat, a lot of our listeners are probably asking, she played Grace on Will and Grace back in the day, and she's known to just rant and rave on Twitter. I think that, when you're an out-of-work actor, that's really what you spend a lot of your time doing. And maybe that's just to be in the spotlight again, or, who knows. Messing doesn't have the biggest audience. Nevertheless, she had tweeted that she just doesn't understand why Kardashian would be hosting SNL. And she said, am I missing something? I replied back, yes, relevance. Because she's wanted to host, apparently, for quite some time. Even when she was at the peak of her career, which was Will and Grace, she wanted to and wasn't able to, or wasn't allowed, or what have you. And so I totally understand why they want Kim hosting that, because whether you like her or not, you're probably going to check out the show. Because if you don't like her, you want to see how she's going to make fun of herself, or you want to see how they're going to make fun of her. But I mean, if you go with the joke, then it's not that bad, right? So you're going to have Kardashian fans watching. You're going to have Kardashian haters watching. I think it was a brilliant move. To go and say, like, oh, well, the hosts are usually promoting a show or movie or new album or something like that, that's a crock of shit. You know what? Whatever's going to draw eyeballs, that's what you want. I'm listening to, on Audible, the book called Live from New York. It's like 20-something hours, and they talk to all the different hosts and guests and cast members and whatever, and that's what people have said about the hosting gig is, you have to be able to make fun of yourself. You have to be able to laugh. You can't take yourself too seriously. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to go and say like, oh, she's going to do a brilliant job acting, because I mean, nobody watches SNL and is like, oh, what good actors. I mean, you have some of them, right? Kristen Wiig, Kenan Thompson, I guess even going back in the day, right? You had, Aidy Bryant is good. So there, some current players and some past players, but yeah, it's just, you watch it for almost kind of the bad acting anyway, right? Like that's sort of what it is. All right, so tune in SNL Saturday night on NBC. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thanks to Kevin O'Leary for joining us. More celebrity interviews at speakfreecelebwatch.com. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,